Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we explore entertaining and enlightening discussions of the adventure of life and all things good. From science and technology to history and philosophy to leadership and success. We hope to give you a better understanding of the world and skills for everyone to pursue their own adventure.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we talk about all things good and the pursuit of the adventure of life. I'm Rafe, and I'm going to be going solo this week because Harry's taking care of some other things. I think he's planning an Antarctic expedition. The discussions from Ernest Shackleton over the last several weeks have really motivated him to turn his life around and do something adventurous. Now, seriously, he's out this weekend, and you got me, and hopefully we will bring you the, what should I say, the phenomenal content that you have become accustomed to. So before I go any further, thank you to all our listeners. We appreciate having you around, and without you, we would not be the global top 10% podcast that we are. We can be reached at bufnagle@bufnagle.com, and we are all over the internet. You can find us there too. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome. We are glad that you are here. We're going to ask you to give us 4 episodes or 44 episodes or 140 episodes. So, listen to a lot of episodes, okay? And then see if you don't want to come back for more and see what all the fuss is about. We'll be talking about lots of different things, and surely there will be something that resonates with you. And remember, tell a friend to listen and get a free episode. And if you could hit that subscribe button and spread the word about the Buff, that would be a great thing. 5-star reviews are wonderful. So anything you can do like that would be great. We had a little doggy here for a long time, 17 years. I think we had our dog, Sophie, and we were always concerned about how she was eating and whether or not she was getting food that was good for her. And that is one reason we are pleased to talk about Nom Nom. Nom Nom is a internet dog food service provider. They are a group that provides food for your dog. So Nom Nom's food is full of fresh proteins that your dog loves and the vitamins and nutrients that they need to thrive. It's fresh, and that means fresh. And with Nom Nom, you can see what your dog is eating. They have board-certified veterinary nutritionists on staff, 2 of them on staff with Nom Nom, and they work extensively to ensure that everything that is sent out is the very best for your dog's livelihood. So here's how this works. You sign up and you tell them about your doggy, age, breed, weight, allergies, and protein preferences, and they would tailor a specific amount of individual packaged Nom Nom meals and send them straight to your little doggy door. You will store the meals in your fridge or your freezer until it's time to feed your pup, and they will give you specific instructions on how to transition your dog from the food that your dog is currently eating to the new, always fresh Nom Nom meals to get you best results. So you will watch your dog clean your doggy dishes and dance for dinner and overall thrive. So are you ready to make a switch to fresh? If so, order Nom Nom today. Go to the link in the description below and use the coupon code BUFNAGLE, BUFNAGLE, to save 50% off your first order, plus free shipping. Plus, Nom Nom comes with a money-back guarantee. If your dog's tail isn't wagging within 30 days, Nom Nom will refund your first order. No fillers, no nonsense, just Nom Nom. So this week, coming out of 6 weeks of of spending time with Shackleton there in Antarctica, it's a different story, I think, where we are now. And one thing that struck me in the Shackleton episodes were how they were, they were living in 1916, but they didn't even have access to all the stuff that you had in 1916, all the, power, steam power and motors. I think internal combustion engines were just getting going. And I've moved into a new house, and we have all sorts of interesting things here. And one thing that struck me is how much home automation, I guess is what I'll call it, we have here in the house. And some of it was deliberate, some of it was accidental, and some of it is regrettable. And what I'm going to do today is go through some of these things and then talk about the home automation. I guess the philosophy behind what it's doing and what it should do and what it could do and how it impacts you. And we'll see if maybe we can learn a little something to maybe help us do a better job of living the lives we want to live. So the first thing on the home automation thing is I have a phone right here, and the phone drives this process. And on my phone is a collection. I think there are six apps that are running things, and that's the things that are internet connected. But there's some other home automation stuff I'm going to talk about. So the first thing that's interesting is the automated blinds, the window treatments that are covering some of the windows in our house. Now we have a lot of windows because it's a house, and it's a modern house, so it has windows in lots of rooms, lots of natural light, they say. And the windows that have the automated blinds on them, they're in the main room here, and there are three large windows that have these blinds on them. And the blinds are, I guess, maybe the Roman shades. I don't know. There's a thing that comes down. It rolls off a spool. Gravity pulls it down toward the bottom. It stops at the bottom, and then it goes back up. So there's a clicker. I call it a clicker, a remote control for this thing. You can select with this clicker either all three of the windows or each one individually, window number one, window number two, or window number three, affectionately called left, center, and right. And you can make them all go up or down individually or collectively with this clicker. But there's also an app for the phone, and you can do all sorts of miraculous things with this app. Now, it's getting to the point with the technology, certainly with regard to the internet and things like communication between devices, that I no longer really feel comfortable knowing what's going on. The phone uses some kind of Bluetooth maybe to talk to the shades, but the shades also talk to my internet router, which talks to my phone. So between the internet router, the phone, and the shades, they may be talking in two different languages. They may be Bluetoothing and they may be Wi-Fiing. I don't really know. But what I do know is I can set the shades with the app to have different, they can have schedules that this little shade can go up and down at certain times of day. You can go to certain locations at certain times of day. And then I can set a scene, is what they call it on the app, where certain window shades in combination can be in certain positions at certain times, and they can be scheduled. And I don't use it for anything very dramatic, even though I'm highly advanced and very fashionable now that I have automated window shades. I don't use them for more than closing the window closing the blind in the morning when the sun is streaming in there and fading the fabric on the couch, and it sits that way until the sun passes around the side of the house at right about noon, and then the blinds are scheduled to retract and go back up and let me take a nice beautiful look at the pond that is out back. So it's kind of a nice thing, this shade automation, and the fact that I have it on some windows makes me want it on the other windows. But if I'm not in the rooms where those things are happening, then I don't. It's not that really big a deal to me. If I didn't have this thing, I would get up in the morning and I would go into the main room and I would pull the shade down and I would block the sunshine from reaching the sofa. And later on in the day, I would remember to move them back up. So that's home automation number one. That's the automated blinds. And there's an issue with this. Okay, these things have to have power to run. They have batteries in them, long-term lithium-ion batteries, which is kind of nice as far as battery technology goes. We used to have these old NiCads that that was a problem. All the rechargeable stuff prior to, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago were NiCads, and that was a big problem. But what you have to do is you have to every 6 months, plug the battery into the wall. There's a little cord and charge them up. and then they will hold their charge there. And I think I'm going to need a ladder to go up there to reach, but I only have to do that every 6 months, probably when I change the batteries in the smoke detector. The first thing to note about this technology with the blinds is that this is a wonderful thing unless they're out of power, right? And this is like with all of this automation stuff, is there's a new problem that has now been it's now been created that you didn't have before. If I have a pull down blind, the only thing that a regular, I don't know what it's called, a pull down blind, right? Yeah, I pull it down by hand, a manual blind. If I have one of those, the only power I have to worry about is me. And if the blind is up and I need it down, I walk over there and I pull it down. And the same thing going the other way. And there's no issue if the sun is out or if the power grid goes down or whatever. I can still control that blind. But now there's a new trick, and that is the electricity has to be in there, and it's in a lithium ion battery, so that's kind of cool. But I still have to remember to charge that thing every now and then, and that's going to be a thing I have to add to my list. And the other thing I have to do is I have to be able to tell I either have to have the clicker, which has its own battery that will need to be replaced every now and then, or I will have to have my phone and its battery charged, and then the Wi-Fi router has to be plugged in, or the Bluetooth has to be. I don't really know which. I'll have to try it with it on and with it off. But so there's some sort of there's an issue there that the old problem of having to do it by hand has become a new problem, which is you can't do it any other way other than the automated way, and that's kind of a problem. So that's the first thing is the automated blinds. The second thing is a rather old technology. It's the garage door. We had automated garage doors, they were power garage doors back in the 70s in our house in Wisconsin, and we would push a little button that looked like a doorbell, and the door would go up, and you push it again, and the door would go down. We didn't have the safety features like the sensor that if there's little kids sitting there under the door will not go down if there's something blocking that sensor. But the garage door has advanced along with all the other home automation stuff. My garage door now talks to my internet router, and whenever the door goes up or down, the app on my phone gets an alert that tells me the garage door has gone up, and then a couple minutes later, I typically see an alert that the garage door has gone down. Unless somebody has left it open, then we can always check to see if it's open or closed. And that's kind of neat because it gives me, I was going to call my wife the other day, and I thought, I wonder if she's home yet. And I looked at the phone, and all of a sudden I was out, and she was coming back to the house, and it showed me that the garage door went up. And that's kind of a neat little trick. It's neat in its cleverness, but I'm sure its novelty will wear off over time. And this has a similar problem that we've had before, is that the phone has to be working, the router has to be working, the garage door has to be working. And as soon as the power grid goes down, we're kind of stuck there. Hopefully I'll still keep a key. I'll have a key to my house, and I'll be able to get in and open the garage door by hand. That's something I know how to do. Disconnect the opener and lift that up. Now, granted, I'm still kind of a weakling, so there's a massive spring at the top of the garage door, which is a piece of old technology to make it possible to lift that very heavy garage door. So there's the garage door app. There's the programmable thermostat, which you can set on a schedule. And we've had these for a long time. There's pretty much 4 settings over 2 different week time periods. There's Monday through Friday, and then there's Saturday, Sunday. And they anticipate that you will wake up, you will do something, you will leave your house, go to work, you will be gone all day, you will come home in the evening, and something else will happen, and then you will go to bed. So there's 4 time zones that are built into the app and into the thermostat itself, and you can set it for different things. So we program it to be nice and cool at night while we're sleeping, and a little bit warmer during the day. I tend to work from home, so the wake up and the leave time periods are all the same, and the same as the return home in the evening kind of thing. So the only thing we really have is the nighttime, daytime kind of thing. And you can do this. You can still do this trick with the with the app. You can program it to be up or down, or I can change the temperature right now in the basement. I can do that trick that you saw on the TV commercials where somebody changes. They're coming home in a blizzard, and they want to heat up the house before they before they arrive home. I can do that sort of thing. But it's pretty much a programmable thermostat that now has Wi-Fi access, and it's kind of nice, but it has the same kind of issues that the other one has. It does have an option that the phone tells me it will I think it's called geo-track me, and that's a little scary. It says that if I tell it to geo-track me and I get too far away from the house, it'll just say, you know what, you don't need the house to be heated and cooled anymore. we will I'll just shut it off until you get back, until I can see that your phone is back near the house, and then I'll crank it back up. And that seems to me to be, if I'm going to be gone for a period of time, I'll just shut it down. I'll put it on hold at a cooler temperature in the winter and a hotter temperature let it get hotter in the summer. And I don't need it to geo-track me around the globe. Although I know it's doing that anyway. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. So the next thing is the swimming pool, and I've mentioned this a couple of times in the past that I've learned that one can tolerate very cold water. With Ernest and his friends, they were in the Antarctic Ocean. I've handled some chilly water here in the pool, but there's some things about the pool that is it's interesting to me how complicated and simple the maintenance of a pool is. You need to perform this delicate dance of chemistry in the pool. There, you're playing a big pH game in trying to keep your pool within certain specs, and then you're trying to keep the chlorine in there to keep the bad things from growing, but you don't want to get too much chlorine and not enough acid, or too much acid, not enough chlorine, and then there's calciums and things, and you don't want precipitates in your water and all this. So it's a complicated thing. A little chemistry helps. But what really helps is the little test kit. And the test kit consists of a strip of plastic with 4 little chemical reactant things on it. And you dip it in the pool and you hold it out there in the air for 10 or 15 seconds, and you line it up with the colors on the back. And I always have to ask my wife, well, what color is it? What's our pH? What color is it? What is our free chlorine? And the issue is that I have red-green color blindness, like, I don't know, 5 or 10% of the male population. And it's really difficult for me to determine whether or not, what the number is. And being a data guy, I really can you just give me the pH? So we have this new thing that sits in the pool, and it floats there, and it once a day, it wakes up and it does what I just described. It actually has little sensors inside it and a little cartridge that water flows over that, and then it does some little spectrometry where it reads what the colors were on the reactant, the reagents, whatever they are in that cartridge, and then it takes that and converts that to digital information. It logs itself onto my Wi-Fi thing, or it does Bluetooth with my phone. I don't really know how that works, but then I get a little message, and it tells me what the pH is, what the chlorine is, what the calcium is, the alkalinity, all these other things that you measure in a pool, and it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing, but it requires a constant bit of maintenance. The pool itself should be behind a fence, so little kids don't come in here and have bad things happen to them. But we don't have a fence, so we put in a locking pool cover. But of course, the pool cover collects water and leaves on it, and if you too much water on top of the cover is a problem. So we have a pump that has a very simple mechanical switch in it, that when the water on top of the cover gets deep, the pump sprays it off there. So there's a lot of little animation things going on here, automation stuff for the pool. It's really nice. I get a little readout of what the condition of the pool is, and I know whether or not it's safe for me to go take a dip in the afternoon. That's a very good thing. If you were my age, mid-50s, and a big thing for when you went to college was your stereo, and the stereo thing has moved on. People no longer listen to music the way we used to listen to it. And the big thing for music now is live streamed music. So you get a subscription to Spotify or Amazon Music or any other streaming service, and you can listen to essentially anything for a small monthly fee, and that comes in through your internet router again. And so we have a I guess I'll call it a networked audio system. The big thing with the stereo, I always found whenever I was setting it up, and much to my wife's chagrin, was it's a very ugly piece of electronic equipment. And it has big ugly speakers that have to sit in rooms, and you have to have wires that run around the house to carry the sound to these speakers. If you want to turn it up or turn it down, you have to run to the room where that is and turn it up and turn it down. If you want to have audio in the whole house, you have to design that into the house. And the question was, when we designed the house, do we want like speakers in the wall and in the ceilings? And when you go to these model homes, they all have that. There's speakers in every room, and they're playing this beautiful, quiet little music. And it turns out that they're not doing it the way we used to do it. We used to do it. You'd have a stereo, you'd have an amplifier, it would play all over the house. There'd be some sort of control panel that would control these things. Nope, not no more. They have this system now where each little speaker is kind of like its own computer that attaches to the interweb thing, to that router you have, and it logs you into an account. That thing goes to in our case Amazon Music, and pulls the music out of there and sends it to all the speakers in the house simultaneously. And each one can be individually volumized up or down. That room can be turned off. The room can be turned to something different. You can have Bach playing in the study. You can have the football game on in the rec room, and you can have whatever workout music is over there in the gym. They can all be separate. It all runs off the internet thing. And it is a wonderful piece of technology. But it, of course, requires that same thing. It requires that the internet thing works. It requires you have electricity. And, I just switched when I moved to the new house, we switched the network thing. They gave us a new router. We had to change network names. And for about a week and a half, we had real problems getting these things to work. Lots of calls to the customer support people to get everything working. But there's real advantage. There's no wires. These speakers can sit quietly under a table as long as they can plug them in. Some of them are rechargeable with lithium-ion batteries, so charge them up every now and then and put them wherever you want, out by the pool, or take it with you to the garage, or wherever it is. As long as it's within the reach of the internet thing, you are good to go, as they say. So it's nice that there's no big stereo system. But if you have like all sorts of cassettes and CDs and records that I have, there's actually a component that you can plug into that plugs into your stereo. So you can keep the stereo in that little room in the basement. You can plug in the module in there, and that module will broadcast to all of your little speakers that you have, or vice versa. The module will also take the information out of the interweb and send it to your stereo, so you can run it through those old gigantic Harman Kardon speakers that you had back in your dorm room. So it's a wonderful technology, but it takes a while to get it right. And if the internet goes down or the power goes out, then you're out of luck, as they say. The last thing in the house that is a new thing for me is the range hood over the oven. And I was flabbergasted when I saw the buttons on the range hood. There's an overall on-off button. There's a fan button. There's a light button. There's one that says auto fan. I guess if it gets hot, the fan turns itself on. And then there's a button that had that little Wi-Fi symbol. And I looked up I found the control manual, how to run your range hood. And sure enough, there's a Bluetooth and Wi-Fi module in the range hood. And if you download the app, of course, now this time I was very curious. I got the app from Broan Newtone. Now, those of you who remember me from Hartford, I can claim that I used to mow the grass there at Broan Fans in Hartford. So I went to the Broan Fan thing, and I downloaded the manual, and there it is. It showed me how to hook it up, and now I can turn on I have no idea why I would ever want to do this. I can turn on the lights and the fan on the range hood automatically from the safety and comfort of, I guess, the living room chair. Now, there's a little advantage to this. Is this range hood sits pretty high up, and if you know my wife, she's not very tall, and she has tremendous difficulty reaching the buttons on the range hood. So she may actually be using this app thing to turn the fan and the lights on over the stove. I cringe as I say that because I find it's so bizarre. We have an irrigation system. That is your standard irrigation system. There's programs that turn valves on and off during the day for certain periods of time. Water sprays back and forth. But the neat thing about the irrigation system is how mechanically based it is. There's an electronic computer thing here in the garage, but a lot of the technology for the irrigation system is mechanical. You can go out, you can go to the yard, and you can find the valve. You can actually, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and open that valve, and the water will come out of the sprinkler heads, and it will spray back and forth. And that spray back and forth thing in the sprinkler heads is a mechanical thing as well. There's something that gets turned when the water goes through it, and that drives a little gear back and forth, and that's how it sprays back and forth. So that's a pretty simple system. If the grid goes down, I can still water the yard by simply opening the valve in the box in the yard. And that's one of the few things that's not really electronically based, and that's kind of a neat thing. I have a saw in my workshop that has a very interesting electronic component inside. The saw, when you turn it on, before it starts up, it measures some sort of electrical conductivity in the blade, it figures out the base state of what the blade is. And if your skin comes in contact with the moving blade, then a circuit is triggered. Now, it knows this because the conductivity of the blade changes, okay? It's measuring this as it's spinning at 8 billion revolutions per minute. It measures the conductivity of the blade, and if you change that by touching your humanoid wet fingers to that blade, then another circuit is triggered. And what that thing does is it slams a block of metal into the blade from the bottom, and it stops it essentially instantly. And as it does that, the angular momentum gets turned into some sort of linear momentum, and the blade itself retracts down into the saw. So it is nearly impossible to cut your finger off on this saw. And it's interesting if you can go online and see the commercials for the saw stop, and they all show it with a hot dog. They have somebody cut a hot dog that they're holding, and I tell you that blade just comes barely in contact with that, and within a couple, maybe one or two teeth, the teeth spinning by hit the hot dog before that thing retracts. It is amazing how fast that thing goes. And that is a piece of technology that I don't think I would buy. I was looking at this. I don't think I'd buy a table saw that didn't have that. I was looking at table saws, and I wanted to buy this other one that didn't have this technology. And I thought to myself, well, this other technology is cheaper. It's like $400 cheaper. And I thought to myself, maybe I should get the other saw. I'd save $400. I still have the risk of chopping on my fingers, but I have $400. And then I contemplated that if I ever do cut off my fingers on the cheaper saw, I won't feel any sort of joy of saying, well, I lost my fingers, but I still have $400 in my pocket. I don't think that would be enough of a countermeasure to get me to get the other saw. So I ponied up, and I got the more expensive saw for the shop. And then the last thing is there's the water heater makes hot water. And that goes into the shower, and it goes through the valve in the shower, and it comes out and get nice hot water on your head. But there's a control mechanism in the faucet, in the on off thing that mixes the hot water and the cold water together. And there's an adjustment thing inside of there that restricts how much hot water can go into that set. And that thing is set by the installing plumber. The installing plumber can set it to take all the hot water you can give it, whatever you want, or you can set it so that the max temp is some barely lukewarm kind of thing. And that is what the plumber had done. And that immediately was met with complaints by other members of this household. They said the water in the shower is too cold. So I tried turning the thermostat up, and that didn't help it. And I took the faucet apart, and there on the inside, there it was. And I moved it from, very cold to allow it to be very hot. And it's a purely mechanical device that simply stops you from opening the valve all the way. And that's an automation thing. It keeps you from hurting yourself. I wonder if it really protects. Who's it protecting? Is it protecting me, the consumer, from scalding? I guess it is. Or probably it's protecting the manufacturer. and the installer is going to definitely put it on the low number because the installer doesn't want to get blamed for having you open the valve too much and getting burned. So those are some of the things that are this. I started thinking about all this technology that's in my house and what it does for me and to me. And I came to a couple thoughts. And so this is, okay, so that's the technology. And then what's the grand conclusion from all this? And I think the technology, the automation, the automatic stuff that we do it's certainly a double-edged sword. Maybe not, don't all swords have two edges? Well, maybe it's a double-bladed sword. Like you could actually cut yourself. It's like that Darth Maul lightsaber thing. So there's a couple. There's always pluses and there's always minuses. So a lot of times the technology, the advancement of technology comes at a cost. It might be just dollars, but it's also an investment in effort and time and just the ability to be able to use it. In order to do the range, in order for my wife to use the range now, instead of reaching up, and of course the button's just not a button. It's a you have to touch it. It's like a touch sensitive button. So you can't just use a stick. Like you can't use a wooden spoon and go and hit the button with a wooden spoon because it's not gonna censor it. So in order to do that, we got to get a phone. We got to get an internet. We have to Bluetooth and Wi-Fi it together. We have to get the app. We have to set up an account. We have to. I mean, it's. Maybe the youngins don't care about that. I kind of do. It's tiresome. I already had 5 apps on my phone for that. I figured the 6th one, what's the big deal? And it's awesome when it works. When this stuff works, it is a great thing. This is great when it works. But it really sucks when something goes wrong. If the automatic blinds that go up and down, if we don't have power and the blinds are down, then I can't see out, and I can't make the blinds go up. It's not like I can retract them and roll them up by hand. I can't do that if that goes away. So and then there's the other issue. What if the technology changes? Right. So I got a new router when I moved here, and that changed everything. I had to reprogram all sorts of different things that I had that attached to the router. And if we move from internet, I don't know, what are we on? Internet 4, we go to internet 6, the IP6 address or whatever that is. Is that going to be around forever? Is Bluetooth going to be around forever? Is that going to be the same technology when we have faster communications? Is that going to be a thing? The question that I keep asking is there a problem that we're really solving, or is it just gimmickry? Is it just kind of a gimmick that we're trying to? It's kind of cute. It's kind of cute to be able to sit in the living room and turn on the vent hood. That's kind of a fun thing to do. And it's kind of a gimmick because you should be able to just turn it on. And it's kind of a gimmick to have the garage door tell you when it went up and when it went down. So I can't see myself really using that garage door thing, other than we've had situations where we've been driving out of town and someone will say, did we put the garage door down? So I'll be able to check now, as long as the internet's still working, right? So are these real problems that we're solving, or are they just gimmicks? And when the solution to the problem creates a bigger problem if it fails, then that seems like a bad thing to me. So if you have a situation that you have a solution that you generated, and maybe it's the things like the garage door. If that system goes down and you don't have a key, now you're really screwed. Right? You can't log in. If the internet, even if there's electricity there, you can't log in. So you need another backup for that. So we have a battery backup outside for just one of those keypads. You just type in the code, but that's old technology. So we didn't even need. So we can still do that if we need that. So it seems to me like these problems, these solutions shouldn't relegate the other thing useless, I guess is the thing. And so that's the thing that gets me with the window shade is without the internet and electricity, now I can't get it. And I would prefer to have the non-automatic one. I can't do the blinds without the motor, but I can disconnect the garage door just by pulling that handle. And that's kind of a good thing. The solutions, they create new problems, right? And we've talked about that. I have to have my phone with me. I have to keep it up to date. I have to keep the apps up to date. I have to have reliable Wi-Fi. I have to pay a subscription for that. I might need a Wi-Fi extender. Like if the pool thing can't reach the Wi-Fi thing, then I have to put some sort of Wi-Fi booster thing in my network, and that's a whole nother problem. So, and there's cost. There's always cost for these things, and that's a thing that's starting to become. I'm starting to become cognizant of is these added costs for all of these things, whether we're paying money to the internet provider or whether we're paying money to Amazon to give us music. And it was kind of nice when I was paying for electricity, and that was about electricity, water, and natural gas was kind of a good thing. We put in a wood burning fireplace, so at least we can burn furniture if we get cold this winter. So that's a thing. It's a thing to think about. We live in this age of obsolescence, and I think this might be a different show altogether. But things that used to have value are out of date. All right, so there's some of these things are out of date. They talk about buggy whips. So if you had a horse and a buggy, you needed a buggy whip to keep the horse going. And cars came along, and there's no need for buggy whips. So that's an obsolescence of a perfectly good buggy whip. But it's a little different with the obsolescence of our phones. And that seems to be the big one that's driving. There have been millions and millions of cell phones made over the last 20 years, and almost all of them are obsolete because something better has come along. It's not like they don't work anymore. It's not like the technology is not there anymore. It's just that for a very low cost, you can now get better. And I don't know what's iPhone on, 13, 14, something like that. Is it? Do we need that? What do we do with the old? What do we do with this old stuff? Somebody tell me what to do with the old stuff. So, all right. So what should we do? How do we seek the good, be the good, spread the good when we have this kind of thing in front of us? All right. And I think here's the first thing. One, be aware of the technology. Be aware of how you're solving these problems, and ask yourself if you really need to do that. Right. Know that the technology is not going to solve all your problems. And realize that there's cost involved with all of these. And you know what? Maybe you don't need them. All right. Maybe we don't. It's still okay to open the shades by hand. And be cautious in adapting the technology just because it's cool or the other kids have it. The old technology is still pretty good. It's still pretty good. And if it works, then there's not a lot of need to get new stuff. The technology should make your life better. It should improve how you seek the good. That's one way to look at it. Is it giving you what you want? So the other thing is, don't take for granted what you have. I mean, it takes a tremendous amount of engineering and other things to get these things working. Appreciation for the electric company still running, generating electricity, however they do it. The guy running cable to your house. Those guys stringing wires and working on cell phone towers in rainstorms and snowstorms so that you can watch cat videos. Be appreciative of this stuff. It's technology itself is not bad. It's just a tool. It's also important to maintain some knowledge of how to make things work without the technology and keep that connection of what the technology is really doing for you. Can you make a fire with matches? Can you make a fire without matches? Can you keep yourself warm? Do you know how to open the garage door without the clicker? Can you roll start a car? Now, granted, we don't know, not many of us have manual transmissions anymore, but do you know how to could you do that? Do you know how to jumpstart a car? Or do you have to you have to hit the AAA app and have somebody come pick you up? Make sure you know how to do these things. And I think the appreciation for what the technology does is better when you realize how hard some of these other things are. You go to your car and you hit that button and the engine starts. If you've ever tried to if you have to start a car by hand, have you ever had to crank one of those things? I mean, people used to break their arms doing that. It was nasty. And does your lawnmower do that? Do you pull start your lawnmower? Do you push your own lawnmower? Do you do that? I guess I'm encouraging you to stay aware of how this technology is changing our lives. And sometimes for the better, it's great. But other times it can be taking things away from you, and make sure that it's not taking good away from you. So technology is just a tool. Technology advances. We've talked about this in the past, but humanity stays the same. We stay the same. We are still the same. We are still of a fallen nature, and we are in need of redemption. And the technology takes away some problems, like it being really hot. We have air conditioning. We need running water. It does that. We have soft water. It does that. We have electricity. All these are wonderful things. The question is, what are you doing with them? How are you making your life better? So if the tech is getting in the way of you being virtuous, and getting in the way of you seeking the good, then jettison that tech, get rid of it. If that phone is causing, what do they say? If your hand is causing you to sin, cut it off. Your eye, gouge it out. If your phone is causing you to sin, throw it out. If any of these technologies are causing problems, get rid of them. But if it's helping you, if it's bringing you closer to the good, then embrace it. And we are all for it. Some of these are great pieces of technology. We ought to use them. So these tools can be used for good or for evil. Make sure you choose the good, because you are called to seek the good, to be the good, and to spread the good, and enjoy the adventure of life.